on April 14th, 1970, a group of engineers in Houston, Texas, huddled around a table. On this table was a smattering of flexible hosing, a bit of cardboard, some tape, plastic bags, and their gaze was intense. They had limited time and these limited resources to solve a huge problem plaguing 3 astronauts 330,000 kilometers away. The Apollo 13 space mission had just suffered a huge blow. The liquid oxygen container, one of them on the service module, had exploded just minutes prior, causing the abortion of the mission and leading to the mission director to call for the attempt of a circumlunar return to Earth that would require that they use the lunar module to make their landing in the ocean. Never been done before, wasn't planned for. Now these engineers were a critical part of that because the carbon dioxide that's naturally occurring in the space shuttle requires carbon dioxide to be pulled out. And the square canisters used on the service module were not compatible with the circular entry point required in the lunar module. It was like Google designed one and Apple designed the other, I don't know, but they needed an adapter. Just like in the year 2015, we all need adapters when we're traveling, and gosh darn it, we just can't find them sometimes. So here they were, limited time, limited resources, working on a problem worth solving. Freeze that frame for a moment. Behind me, imagine a more recent occurrence. It's my 3 kids, 9, 5, and 4. There's no huge problem, no explosion has just occurred, but they are shoulder to shoulder creating something. My 4-year-old said I could share this with you. You can't see it, but I'll describe it to you. It's her drawing. Imagine her, she's drawing at the table. Across from her, her 5-year-old sister is solving a puzzle because she loves puzzles. And just a few feet away is Big Brother on an iMac building some amazing creation in Minecraft. They're shoulder to shoulder, working on problems they love to solve with a little bit of time I've given them. I think it was a 30-minute innovation session that Daddy said they had to do. And here Anna created this amazing thing. It's Poppy and Grandma's sitting room, drawn from memory. Here's one chair and the other, and the lamp, and a door, and even the hooks next to the door. It's amazing what they were able to create in that little session. With these 2 scenes in your mind, I want you to pause and reflect on a time, the last time even, or the strongest time, where you stood shoulder to shoulder with the team that you had selected or been placed with on a problem worth solving, and you had limited time and limited resources to figure it out. Think of that time. Now, recall the emotions you're experiencing. I know when I think of my time, energy was very high. The feeling of being centered and unified along a common purpose was high, a sense of belonging that we all crave. And the achievement I felt working alongside these people in that moment was amazing. Now, I believe that innate desire, the will to innovate, is inherent in all of us. Those engineers huddled around the table, this was their moment. And my kids in the scene behind me, that was their moment. That's what kids do best. But in fact, it's what humans do best. The problem is, we in the workplace have suffered an explosion on our spaceship we call work, and that is an explosion of disengagement. By some estimates, 70% of us are completely disengaged in the workforce. That means we come, we perform, we go home to get engaged. Or even as we're at work, we log on to Facebook and do whatever we want to do because our heart and our mind and our soul is not in it. That is an explosion, and it's a terrible problem for a few reasons. One, because the future demands more problems, not fewer, to the mounting, more solutions, not fewer, to the mounting problems in our world. Two, it's a travesty, isn't it? Because the creativity, the art you saw on display in earlier talks, it begs to be integrated into the fabric of our lives, not to be treated as some hobby. And the world, because it's getting more automated, more of the jobs that we're disengaged with are going to go away anyway, and we need to learn how to innovate in the workplace. We need to know what this process means and be able to actually concretely do it. So it's a big problem. Those Apollo 13 moments are not happening. Those creative moments are not happening. So what are we to do about it? Well, 5 years ago, my small team and I at CauseLabs, where, as you heard, we build web and mobile solutions for social impact, working with great organizations who are already having an impact and just asking the question, how might technology be a tool to accelerate this, to enhance it, to supplement what you're already doing? We decided to do something about it, to create these environments for these Apollo 13 moments to happen. And what has resulted is what we call our lab program. And it's simple. You could take what I'm about to tell you and implement it starting in your next work day. It's 3 core components, starting with number 1, what we call our drawing board. It's a 30-minute session we have each week in which anything new can be talked about. A new process idea, a new product idea, a new problem that you're passionate about. You have no idea what the solutions might be, but you want to bring it to drawing board and just get it out there. That's drawing board, 30-minute session, that's all we do. And it's just to get ideas out there, to start ideating, so to speak. Number 2 is a cornerstone of this program. We call it Lab Day. We take 1 day off from our project work every month to commit to seeing what we can build based on these ideas shared in drawing board in just a day. And the third component is what we in primary school used to call show and tell. And it's when, at the end of Lab Day, we celebrate that which we have built in that day, showing everybody and telling each other what a good job they did, and seeing how we might carry that innovation forward. So drawing board, Lab Day, and show and tell. That's it. Other than that, the only constraint was it had to be under our purpose as a company to build tools that impact people. I, as a CEO, did not say, now, today's theme is this, next month it's going to be this, here's the type of innovations I want to see. Rather, I just gave them some time, some resources, and problems worth solving of their own passion. One of the coolest stories that come out of our lab program is an iPad application called My Story, Bookmaker for Kids. It's an iPad app born out of a designer, Brian's moment he had with his little sister, who was 8 years old, and she walked into the room with a jumble of papers, writing implements, kind of like my daughter Anna, and she was frustrated. She couldn't figure out how to tell the story. An iPad had just come out in 2010, and Brian had this weird thought. I wonder if an iPad app could actually help my sister. Now, because we had the lab program, he brought it up in drawing board. Mohammed got interested. He's our iOS developer. He said, I'd like to join you on that project. And the next lab day, they created this really ugly, to be very honest, really ugly demo of a canvas that you could maybe scribble something on, and the drawing wasn't great. But it had a record button, and I think you could even take a picture and have it appear on the canvas. And they built that in a day. It was pretty amazing. It was terrible, but it showed enough of the idea to kickstart it, to get it out of their minds into something real and get it talked about. Fast forward, 1, 2, skip a few lab days later, we launched that app in the App Store. And since then, it's been used over 1 million times all around the world to create stories that have unlocked imagination and helped children literally find their voice. And one of the more emotional moments of the program, we received a tweet out of the blue from a speech therapist in a school in the States who said that in using our application, My Story, a child she'd been working with all school year who hadn't spoken a word pressed the recording button and found her voice for the first time, using an app that Brian thought about when his sister walked in the room one day, frustrated. I think that's a problem we're solving. More recently, an Android app, a team just released an Android app into that store called Solo. Came from an idea Russell had, and Jonathan joined him as a designer. And it lets you go out on an adventure by yourself, but have somebody keep tabs on you. You tell the app where you're going, when you expect to be there. Very simple. And if you don't check in by that time, it'll ping the people you called your friends and watchers, and they can at least know where you were supposed to be and act on it. I don't know where that app's going to go. I didn't have the idea. They had the idea. We just gave them some time and resources to see it through based on their own passions. But I believe it's going to lead to some great things, just like my story has. Not only have these been great products for us, they've led to great partnerships like our work with Lego that we've been involved in for over 2 years now. And they've led us to great places. I've had the privilege and honor of going around the world to start doing these workshops and these lab days with our clients, shoulder to shoulder, and change the way we start working on our work. It's not just us either. This movement that we call internally our lab program is really a part of a global movement, the Hackathon movement. If you've heard that term, it's derivative of software developers and geeks like me, but it happens all over the world and it happens across sectors. Schools are holding hackathons to address particular problems such as bullying or curriculum or what to do about a new mandate handed down. Hospitals, any industry you can think of can use that hackathon format, limited time and resources, and a problem worth solving to create amazing and kickstart amazing solutions that otherwise would not have resulted. Now, the story of innovation doesn't stop there for me. In fact, one nagging question has popped up over the last 5 years, and that is, why can't every day feel like a lab day? Is it too much to ask that every day I'm fully engaged, that I bring my whole self, all my passions to work, and I can work on the team and self-manage and just get things done every day? Or must we resign ourselves to the fact that there are going to be the doldrum days and then you can look forward to lab day, much like the completely disengaged worker looks forward from holiday to holiday, looking at work as the thing that happens in between those more important things? Well, I believe, and I've done some research, and I believe, as my team does, that we can actually strive for a fundamental structural change that leads to more Apollo 13 moments, that leads to more granular and natural creative moments. So we've done a structure change as of 2 months ago to completely change the way power and management works at our company. And like our lab program, which we deconstructed to be inspired by our move, it has 3 core components. We looked at our lab program. Why do we love lab day? What causes the feeling we get? Well, you're self-managed. You work on the project of your own choosing with the people you want to work with. And you work with a purpose that is aligned with who you are. Can't we do that with every single project that we do? After all, we're CauseLabs. We're already working in social impact. Let's just align it a little bit better and get rid of everything else that gets in the way. So now, here's what our structure looks like now. Number one, we have smaller self-managed teams rather than a pyramid at which I was at the top. Now I'm part of a team and supporting the teams that are completely self-managed. They're going to be able to make hiring decisions. They're going to be able to spend money the way they need to spend money. As long as they seek advice and they learn to resolve conflict. As long as they seek advice before they make some big decisions, and of course my advice, no, but everybody's advice, including my own when they see fit to come to me with it. And they learn how to resolve conflict, because previously in the pyramid, right, what happens is you complain to the manager, who then talks to the person with whom you have a conflict, and these vicious cycles start to happen. I see your heads nodding. Now we have to just being self-managed, we have to learn how to address conflict directly, which actually ends up being part of innovation. So self-managed teams is structural component number one. Number two, wholeness. The sense that at CauseLabs, you don't just come to work as your professional self anymore. We're asking you to bring your entire self into the workplace every day. Your passions, your hobbies, your children, your problems. And we have to deal with each other professionally because we are a business and we're trying to stay financially responsible, but we also want you to find those serendipitous connections you otherwise wouldn't have thought of in a culture and in a structure that asks you only to bring your professional self. Our new roles-based structure, where we've shunned titles in favor of roles, also leads to this mentality that I could take on that role or even create a new role, and I'm no longer the product of a title I've been assigned, and I no longer have to look at a title above mine. I can actually play new roles at any time. It's up to me. I can bring my whole self, and based on that, create roles that align with the skills that I have to offer. And number three is the sense of evolutionary purpose we now have. So instead of me, the former CEO in this pyramid where I'm at the top, bearing the weight, I don't know how many business owners or leaders of companies we have in the room, but you bear a weight and you are alone at the top. Instead of that being the case, we've embraced an evolutionary purpose, whereby the monthly executive meeting or weekly executive meeting is replaced by a governance process where anybody in the company, on any team, can propose a new role, can propose a change to a role, or propose a deletion of a role, as long as it aligns with the company's purpose and has a business viability component to it. It's no longer only the conversation in a boardroom or an executive chamber or a leadership team's email thread. It's an open conversation and a pretty rigorous process that anybody can engage in. So if you want to talk about creating Apollo 13 moments and rethink your structure, and not just introduce a program, but actually fundamentally look at a structure that leads to more of those moments, you should look at changes like that. And of course, I wasn't alone, and we weren't alone in deciding to make some of these moves. As with hackathons in our lab day program, a new term has been coined that we should all look into called Holacracy. And Holacracy is undergirded by the sense of self-managed teams, a sense of wholeness. You bring yourself to work, evolutionary purpose. And Friedrich Laloux actually wrote about this in his book, Reinventing Organizations, which is very appropriately titled, where he studied 12 such companies for 3 years to actually determine, is this a fad? Is this theoretical? Is this the aspirations of some academic? Or is there something going on in our world where that yearning for those innovative moments and to bring one's whole self to work and be engaged is actually happening at companies? One of the coolest examples he has studied and talks about in the book is a school in Germany called ESBZ. It's a public school. It's under the same constraints that all the other schools in Germany are under, except that it has managed to build in structures of innovation. Instead of being one school with administrators who make decisions and teachers who must implement them, 3 classrooms at a time, along with their students, are organized like schools within the school, where they get to make their own decisions, work through their own issues, and strive towards their common purpose. The students, as Frederick writes in his book, the students who walk into the school walk with a sense of real purpose. They don't hang out at the gate until the warning bell rings. They walk in because they're thinking about the project that they themselves have put their passion into, along with seeking the advice of their teachers, and they're going at it. He calls these organizations evolutionary teal organizations. And that's the type of organization that CauseLabs is actually striving to become. That's the type of organization that ESBZ is. And that's the broader movement that Holacracy wants to power. That's a whole new operating system for organizations to operate in. Let's return to our engineers. What happened there? Well, as luck or as innovation would have it, with their limited time, limited resources, and that problem very much worth solving, they were able to jury-rig, as is wonderfully depicted in the film that's now 10 years old, Apollo 13, what they called the mailbox that would help deliver quality air to the astronauts, who then did return safely to planet Earth on April 17th. The thing I love most about that mission is it was an abject failure. It was terrible. They were supposed to land on the moon. They never landed on the moon. But it was a triumph of humanity because of this story of engineers banding together to solve problems. That's the true story of innovation. Things you didn't expect to happen, but did happen because you set it up and you allowed it to happen. The engineers found success. I believe we in the workplace can recover from our explosion of disengagement. But it requires that we engage in the journey of innovation. So my question to you is, my question to all of us is, what can you do? For us, 5 years ago, it was started with a simple thing, that we should carve out 30 minutes a week to talk about new ideas. Maybe that's your action point. Maybe you're ready to take a leap and say, I'm going to organize one of these hackathons, what we call the lab day. And I think we can do it quarterly, maybe yearly. But I know we can do it. And I know and I trust the innovation process is going to lead to good things. Or maybe you're in the place where you're thinking fundamentally about your organization's structure. You're either alone at the top, or you're disengaged in the middle, or you don't know what's going on at the bottom. Have that conversation about your structure and how it can lead, how it can be changed, how you can wield more power in deciding not to live out the pyramid because that's all you were ever told. Whatever you do, embrace innovation. Do what you can where you are, because I believe the future of the world depends on it.